As we think about the various forms of media that we use today, it's important to remember those who have made media possible in one way or another. One person that we should be thanking for our use of Wi-Fi is Dr. John O'Sullivan. Dr. O'Sullivan was the head of a five-person team in Australia that used radio astronomy and engineering to create wireless fidelity, or what we know as Wi-Fi, in the 1990s. Another contributor to mass media is Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin is someone that we know as a founding father of the United States. But other than being a politician, Benjamin Franklin was also an author. He opened America's first library in Philadelphia in 1731, and he also published his own books. Additionally, newspapers are a form of mass media that we use today. James Gordon Bennett was a writer and publisher in the 19th century. He launched the New York Herald in 1835, and although this was not the first newspaper, it was definitely the most successful. By 1850, it was the biggest newspaper in the world. Bennett was innovative and worked hard to create the success that he had. Other than newspapers, magazines are also a form of mass media use. The first magazine was published in 1741 by Andrew Bradford. It was called The American Magazine, and it only had 3 issues. But this did not stop it from being a trailblazer of a magazine for what the future would hold in magazines. Other than written forms of media, recordings were and are also something that contribute to our mass media. Peter Goldmark Sr. developed a long-playing record, also known as an LP. The LP could play for 23 minutes. He was inspired to make this adjustment when he was listening to classical music on his recorder when he kept having to flip it over to finish the song that he was listening to, and he didn't want to have to do that. So that's what inspired him to create the LP. It's important to note that he was an engineer for CBS. CBS kind of ran with his development of the LP after he created it. Additionally, radio is used in mass media. Reginald Fessenden was the first voice to be transmitted on radio without wires on Christmas Eve in 1906. He worked as an engineer and studied wireless communication first under Thomas Edison and then elsewhere. He was a professor in Canada and in the United States teaching physics. Movies are also a big form of mass media. Etienne Marey was a European inventor who was known by Benjamin Franklin. He created the projector that showed pictures in the 1880s. The only problem with what he did was that his invention was not perfect in that the pictures jumped, so it didn't flow well. Other than movies, television was and obviously still is a major form of mass media. William Paley was a CBS executive in the 30s and 40s, and CBS was a leading broadcast network at the time. So it's important to note Paley's work as it was such a leader at the time, and it definitely brought America together as they had their nightly newscasts and everyone tuned in to see what was going to happen. So he really brought the world together by working hard to create a successful network. Ed Murrow was actually one of William's news anchors for CBS. He was an anchor and a journalist. He covered Senator McCarthy in the time that McCarthy was trying to weed out communism from the United States, and his work was very risky as he recognized the risk for himself as an individual and for CBS as a network, but his tenacity and bravery is important to note for any journalist in our media today. Other than television, we also use the internet so much. Without the internet, we seemingly would be nowhere. Tim Berners-Lee discovered the World Wide Web in the 90s. Additionally, he developed computer programming languages such as HTML and HTTP. He also created the browser and search engine. So if you consider or think about internet, your mind should associate that with Tim Berners-Lee because he did so much for the internet. Overall, these contributors definitely contributed in different ways and in different time periods. From the 1700s till to the 1990s, they contributed in mediums of books, newspaper, magazines, records with the creation of the LP, radio transmissions, the development of movies, what television looked like then and now, and then the internet as we know it today. Overall, we would not be where we are today without each of these men working hard in their field.